Thought of the day, number 20. Can you improve your VO2 max and your maximal strength at the same time? This is the topic that I'll be talking about today. So first, let's define a few terms, and then we'll go into the discussion on this topic. So what is VO2 max? VO2 max is simply the amount of oxygen that your body can consume per unit of time. It's usually expressed in absolute fashion in liters per minute. So liters of oxygen that your body consumes per minute. And it's also expressed in relative fashion, where we're going to talk here about milliliters per kilo per minute, where now we're talking about how much oxygen each kilo of body weight can consume per unit of time. It doesn't take into consideration lean muscle mass directly. It's simply to say if you have 4 liters, if you have a VO2 max of 4 liters in absolute terms, so 4 liters of oxygen per minute, well, whether you're 80 kilos or 60 kilos, it's going to have a big impact on what your relative VO2 is going to be. So when you see numbers in the, let's say, 30 to 80 range, that's going to be expressed in relative units, so milliliters per kilo per minute. And if you see higher values in whether you see 2 to 6 liters, that's going to be, or sometimes milliliters. So if you see 2,000 milliliters or 6,000 milliliters, that's going to be in absolute numbers. So that's for the VO2 max side. And then maximal strength. So pick any movement that enables you to express maximal strength, whether it's a squat, a deadlift, a bench press, a chin up. And this is going to be essentially how much weight you can move on any given movement. And so the question today was, can we improve both at the same time? Can we increase our VO2 max? Can we increase how much oxygen our body can consume per unit of time? And can we also train at the same time, so not necessarily in the same session, but concurrently during the same week, in parallel, can we also develop our maximal strength and build muscle mass and become stronger? And I definitely think that in the vast majority of cases, we can, and we should actually, because there's rarely a sport or a discipline where only one athletic quality matters. You might see some, but in any sport that requires multiple different facets to your athletic and let's say athletic development, you're going to have to increase both of those numbers. You're going to have to become stronger, and you should increase your VO2 max as well. The way I see VO2 max in non-endurance sports is kind of a proxy for your work capacity. So if you have a very low VO2, for 2 athletes that compete in, I don't know, let's say CrossFit. So we know that elite CrossFitters don't necessarily have sky high VO2 maxes. However, I do believe that people that have a higher VO2 max are able to train more and to better recover from their training, to just tolerate more training volume. And we know that this is going to be one of the parameters, or one of the things that is going to be directly correlated with performance, is how much can you train. So essentially, if you have two athletes that are the same in any given sport, again, non-endurance sport, and one has a higher VO2 max than the other, it's not necessarily going to impact the results on the sport itself. However, I would probably dare to say that the person with the athlete with the higher VO2 max will have better quality training and potentially be able to train more. I haven't seen hard data on that, but it's something that I've anecdotally seen in the CrossFitters that I work with and some of the fighters that I work with as well. And I think that it does apply across the board. So long story short, you should definitely try to improve those qualities. And again, you're not going to be able to choose and just pick one and then do the other 2 months later. You just have to train. And when we look at interferences between those different signaling pathways, the ones that are more triggered by endurance training and the ones that are more triggered by strength training, what we see is that, at least my understanding of the current research, is that if you look at the molecular level, if you kind of dig deep down, go all the way down the rabbit hole, you do see some interferences, some kind of limitation when you're trying to let's say elicit both those adaptations at the same time. However, when you zoom out and you look at it from the individual's perspective or at the organism level, at the systemic level, you don't necessarily see the same information come out. And I think it really depends how you organize your training. And obviously that's where, intelligent and proper planning of training and making sure you plan your year appropriately for your different competitions. And you're not necessarily going to train your VO2max and your max strength at the highest level all year round. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is simply that you have to train at some point, and you can't just say, oh, I'm just going to train this for that many weeks and then I will take care of X, Y, and Z. I don't think that's the best way of doing things, simply because we only have so long to train, and qualities tend to deteriorate when we don't at least maintain them or keep working on them. But I definitely think that we shouldn't be afraid of working our VO2 max and our max strength at the same time. We just need to plan intelligently. We're not going to do it, back to back on the exact same session. We're going to leave some time in between, and we might even split the days. Again, it's going to really depend on your context and your sport and your needs and your abilities, your strengths and your weaknesses. But I do think that you can improve both, and I've seen it time and time again. You can improve both of those qualities at the same time, up to a point. Obviously, when adding 3 kilos to your squat, it takes you multiple months because you're already at a very high level in that movement. Maybe at that point you need to dedicate so much time and so much energy and effort and work towards that one quality that maybe now, and if you already have also a fairly high VO2 max in that case, well, maybe now you get to the point of diminishing returns. But I'd like to say that for most people, that's not the case. That's not yet the case. I hope you get there. I hope you run into that problem of my strength is so high and my VO2 max is so high as well that I can't actually train both and increase both at the same time. I need to pick and choose. I hope that you get there. But from my estimation, what I've seen, most people aren't there. So you have some leeway and you should train both at the same time. And I hope you progress in both again. So here you go. You have it all. How to improve can you improve your VO2 max and your max strength at the same time? Absolutely, you can. And you should, up until the time where you cannot anymore. And then you have to start planning differently. So here you go. I'd love to have your comments below this video. If you have something to add to this, if you're in agreement or disagreement with me, always happy to read you in the comments. Trying to do more content in English. So feel free to drop some ideas on other content that I can make in English for the channel. On that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's free and you can always change your mind, and leave me a like for the algorithm. Thanks to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.